Good morning, church. This is Pastor Mike. I hope you're having a good Friday today. I was so encouraged last night. We were able to get together as a church and do Bible study and time of prayer last night on Zoom. And it was great to see people's faces after a time of being apart and being able to look into people's eyes again after being separated for so long. And as encouraging as it was to get together and pray together, it was overwhelming the number of prayer requests we have right now. Prayer requests for family and friends, for safety, for people that we love but we're not near right now, or people that we can't feel like we can do anything to help them because they're far away or they're in harm's way. And it made me think about another biblical character who knew what it was to go through pain and fear. It made me think about Jeremiah, and in his collection of prophecies called Lamentations, which should give us a clue as to their content. It's a book of fear in the midst of a time of great uncertainty. As Jerusalem was besieged by enemies, it was a time when basic supplies and food was in short supply there. It was a time whenever the future of God's people was in doubt, and death always seemed to linger as a possibility on the doorstep. It was a time when no one knew exactly what was going to happen next. And I felt Jeremiah's words as he says in chapter 3 of Lamentations that streams of tears flow from his eyes when he thinks about the distress of his people, and what he sees brings grief to his soul. And if we just leave it with our grief, if we just sit and wallow in our pain and our hurt, it can feel so overwhelming. We can feel like the waters are just rising all the way over our heads. But listen to how Jeremiah concludes and how he continues to speak even in the midst of his grief and his hurt. He says, "I called on your name, O Lord, from the depths of the pit." And sometimes we can feel like we're in that pit, like there is just no escape from where we are. And he says, "You heard my plea. You came near when I called you, and you said to me, 'Do not fear.'" That is the truth of God in this moment and in every moment when we are tempted to despair. That God is always whispering to us, "Do not fear." Not because the threat isn't real, because it is, but because our God is greater than any threat that is before us. Our own lives are an example of exactly what God is saying here. That in a moment when we could look at ourselves and say that we are sinful, that we are broken, that we have no hope, that we are in the pit and our destiny must be destruction, that God loved us so much that he said, "Do not fear. I send you my son, Jesus Christ." So that when we trust in him, when we give him our lives, when we accept the gift of salvation that he offers, we are redeemed from the pit and offered a destiny of eternity in God's presence. That same destiny awaits each one of us, and we don't have to wait until we pass away and go to heaven to have life abundant. We can have it right now by claiming it in the name of Jesus Christ. So if today you're feeling fearful, anxious, overwhelmed, or unsure about what the future holds, call out to God, because we know from his word that he says he will hear us. There's no amount of pain that can separate us from the love of God. And his answer to us will always be the same. Do not fear, because you are loved by God. So until tomorrow, remember that you are loved by God, and there is nothing, no virus, no lack of money, no anything in this world that can cause us to fear in the face of our awesome and mighty God. God bless you today and every day. Be well.